Welcome once again to Octane Mobile Gaming. The new deck is out for the next event, and we're going to have a look at the deck, but first we're going to have a look at the news link. The news link brings us a new boss, which is in the news link. So, know thy enemy. Villain boss is the new boss. It's a special type of boss, and you need Guild Boss key to take down that boss. And when you take down that boss, you'll unlock something called a Sentinel shield. Do have a look at the news link. HP update as well. So, because of the Gem Crush, they are reviewing Commander Boss's health. And this caused me great concern because a lot of the bosses, especially the Korelis bosses, are really difficult to take down without event deck. So actually increasing the HP, somebody who hasn't got event deck or hasn't got a very powerful deck won't be able to take down the Korelis bosses or the guild bosses for that matter. So I'm really concerned about this. I think what they should do is do exactly what they've done with the Slayer event. They didn't review the HP of the Slayer bosses, so I think they should actually see what happens within the Commander event and then review it based on the result of the Commander event. But actually just increasing the HP of the bosses is gonna have really significant effect on the decks, especially if you haven't got the event. Fortunately, this week I did manage to get the ultra rare on tier 2 of the vault, and I did have enough season coin to craft the master collection card. So I went ahead and I crafted the master collection card and craft the ultimate form, which is not bad because I didn't have chaotic killer in my, well, I had it in the Slayer collection in the form of Relentless Scholar, but I didn't have it on the Commander side of things. So now I've got it on both Commander and Slayer, which is quite good. So we're gonna have a look at the deck. First up is the support card, which is called Ice Incarnated. So that's Lumi, Ice Incarnated, and this is a support card. And the support card will heal you for 5000% of hero recovery, and it will create 4 light gems, which is the staple for a support card. Heal and create light gems, which is not bad. It's got a 3-turn cooldown as well, which is quite good. 9 gem charge rate, which is what you expect a support card to have. It's also got a passive, which is quite good. It's good to see a passive on the support card because not a lot of support cards have passive. This passive is quite good, however. It creates 1 light power gem 1 at the start of each turn, which is quite good. Keep on spawning power gems. Power gem 1. If the enemies are burning, it will create 1 extra power gem. The burning comes from the ultimate form and the master collection card. So this is quite a nice support card. I really like the support card. It really looks good. It heals, it produces power gems, it produces gems, which is quite nice. I'm liking the support card. It looks like a similar card that we've seen before in the light event, but it's quite nice. Up next is the main card, or the event card as it's called now, and it's Unstoppable Quark. We've seen Quark before, but that's in the Water Affinity, and in the Water Affinity, Quark is a gem destroyer. Now this Quark actually creates 4 light power gem 3s plus 1 additional per 200 chaotic killer intensity. The intensity is okay. 150 would have been better, but 200 is quite nice. It's far better than 250, which I quite like. I quite like the fact as well that it's able to create more power gem based on intensity, not just 4 light power gems and that's it. So this is a quite nice event card. Quite usable event card. If you've got 2 of these cards, it's even better if you haven't got the deck, because this card eventually will be able to fill the board with power gem 3s, which is quite good. Power gem 3s is far better than power gem 1s or power gem 2s. And now we've got Gem Crush as well. Power gem 3s is far better than 1 or 2s. Because speaking about gem crush, you can crush ordinary gems and you can crush them up to a maximum of power gem 4s. It doesn't matter how many gems you crush after that, you cannot get it beyond power gem 4s. Crush power gem 1s, you can get it to a maximum of power gem 6 or power gem 7s, but you can't get it beyond that unless you start to crush like power gem 2s, 3s, and 4s. So it depends on the power gems that you're actually crushing. You can get up to power gem 20, but power gem 15 is quite hard to get up to. You have to crush quite a lot of power gem 4s, power gem 5, 6, and 8s to get up to 15. The thing that I find with gem crush as well is that your deck is hit and miss. You can have a deck that can deal every time you create your power gems in a normal circumstances. That's prior to gem crush. You spawn all your power gems, you swap your power gems, and your deck would put up probably say about 90 trillion. And every turn you can put out between 85 to 90 trillion. With gem crush, you can be producing the same amount of power gems, but based on the crush, your deck can deal anywhere from between 25 trillion to over 260 trillion. And that's one of the things that I saw in the last event. Now the deck that I had, it was able to deal a maximum damage of 290 trillion. That's quite a lot. And it was just one card that was dealing 260 trillion, and then the ultimate form was dealing about 30 trillion. So in all, about 290 trillion. But not all the time I was able to generate that much power, because it depends on how much of the gems were crushed and the type of gems that was created when the gems were crushed. I'm not against Gem Crush, because I actually like Gem Crush, because without Gem Crush my deck wouldn't be able to put out 290 trillion damage. Wouldn't be able. The maximum it would be able to put out before Gem Crush would probably be about 90 trillion. That's it. But with Gem Crush I had the possibility of generating 290 trillion, which is quite nice, but it's just that it's not guaranteed. So that's part of the problem that I have with Gem Crush, is that your maximum output is not guaranteed all the time. So let's continue. So this one is Glacial Goddess. So Glacial Goddess will freeze all enemy and increase their turn count by 1. That's the battle skill. Now the passive is quite nice. I love the passive on this card. The passive will create 3 light power gem freeze at the start of each turn. And if the enemies are burning, instead it will create 4 power gem and 1 additional for every 150 chaotic killer intensity. Now at some point this passive is able to fill the board with power gems. So that's quite nice. And filling the board with power gem 3s can crush and give you power gem 8s, power gem 10s, so on and so forth. So it can be a quite powerful passive ability. More than one of this card will give you far more power gems on the board. So this is a very good ultra rare. It's a very powerful ultra rare as well. Let's see what it dispels. It dispels Gem Silence, which is quite good because its ability would be affected by Gem Silence, and its ability will be affected by Power Gem Silence and also Slumber. Let's see what the Master Collection card is able to do. So this is Prometheus. It looks quite familiar. It looks like a Prometheus from the Fire Affinity. It's got the same features, however this one is light. So Prometheus, Father of Flames, and this one, the battle skill will create 5 light power gem 4s plus 1 additional per 100 chaotic killer intensity. So this one is quite good as well. It can fill the board at some point based on intensity. So you can see that the decking in and of itself is able to generate quite a lot of power gem, making it quite a powerful deck. It's also got a passive which is called Afterburn. Whenever this era attacks, it will set all enemies on fire. burning them for 50% of the damage of the main attack at the end of the next 3 turns. So for 3 turns, as long as you keep on attacking, this card will actually do something called burn. So you see something like lava falls from the screen, it will set the enemy on fire, and it will give 50% of the previous damage dealt. It will deal it on next turn as well, and it stacks. So for 3 turns, it will take 50% of the damage that you dealt before, add it on top of the 50%, and it keeps stacking. So at some point for the 3 turns, you will end up with 150% of the damage dealt over 3 turns, which is quite good. It's almost like Freedom Fighters, not quite like Freedom Fighters, because Freedom Fighters and Hard One Korelis are the 2 top card when it comes to stuff like this. Can't compare to them, but it's similar to their battle skill. So this is quite nice. I'm liking this afterburn. Looks quite nice, quite interesting. The fact that this card actually creates additional power gems based on intensity is quite good, and it's power gem 4s as well, so that's really, really good. Now the last card up is Starborn Sentinels. Now Starborn Sentinels is your ultimate form for the deck, and it will freeze all enemy and increase their turn count by 1. It's got a 6 turn cooldown, just like the ultra rare, which makes it a card that you can't use quite often, which is really a shame, because it's a really good card. It's got a 9 gem charge rate, and it's got a 6 turn cooldown. Hate the 6 turn cooldown, but that's okay, because it does make its passive does make up for the fact that it's got a 6 turn cooldown. Now the passive, which is Blizzard Inferno. So Blizzard Inferno will create 3 light power gem 5s, quite good, at the start of each turn. If the enemy are burning, instead it will create 4 plus 1 additional per 150 chaotic killer intensity. So at some point as well, this passive will be able to fill the board with power gem 5s, which makes it quite powerful. Which card is the MVP of this deck? I would say the deck itself is an MVP. It's an MVP deck. I'm loving every card on this deck. Love the ultimate form. Ultimate form is quite good. Love the Master Collection card. You got to love the Master Collection card. The Master Collection card deals extra damage over 3 turns, and it stacks. Plus it's able to fill the board with power gem 4s. So you got to love the Master Collection card. Ultra rare, absolutely brilliant. The ultra rare gives you a turn delay, and it is able to fill the board with power gem freeze. As long as you get up to the required intensity, it can fill the board, and you don't have to activate anything for it to fill the board with power gems. It just does it. Absolutely magnificent. Event card. The event card is quite good as well. It is able at some point to fill the board with power gems. Hasn't got a passive, but that's neither here nor there. It can create lots of power gems based on intensity, which is real good. The support card. The support card will keep your deck healed, plus it will create power gems. Gems and power gems. And the power gems, it creates it each turn, and it creates an extra one as long as you set the enemy ablaze or burning. So it's quite good. So it's a really nice deck. Like the artwork, like the colors, like the scheme, and I love the battle skills on this deck. I see it as a really good deck, not an extremely powerful deck, but I can see it as a really good deck. It hasn't got any boost, damage boost or attack boost, which is one of the things that I believe this deck is lacking. If it had a power attack boost or it had a damage boost, it would have made it a really powerful deck. But in and of its own, I think it's powerful enough, especially for the wave fights. It will be really good in a wave fights, because the passive ability on the support card, the passive ability on the ultra rare, and the ultimate form makes it a really good deck for the wave fights. So it's a nice deck for the commander event, and I think it will be really good against the guild bosses, because you'll be able to do damage every single turn you'll do damage against the guild bosses. So it's a really nice deck. We haven't really got any cards that will increase the damage output, or, well, I haven't got any cards really, probably other people have got it, to increase the damage output of Chaotic Killers. If you had a card that you could add to this deck to increase the damage output or the attack output of Chaotic Killers, it will make this deck really, really powerful. Now let's have a look at the Ultimate Relic. Did manage to get 2 main relic and 1 rare relic, which was quite nice. It increases your attack, creates light gems at the start, increases your flat up attack, increases your health, create power gems, and it breaks Chaotic Shield. Now, one of the things I'm gonna say about Chaotic Shields, or shields in general, Gem Crush has rendered these shields absolutely useless. They're absolutely useless. You don't really need to break the shields anymore, because as soon as you create enough power gems on the board, they're gonna crush anyway, so you don't care about shields. So you don't need to break shields anymore. If you've got 6 shields on the board, as long as they haven't covered all of the board, you're good. You'll be able to actually crush your gems and create bigger and more powerful power gems. So it's not bad. So don't worry too much about breaking shields anymore. You got your rare relic, and then you've got your main relic, which is Sentinel Solar Axe, and this is Cosmic King. That's your deck in a nutshell. Now, I did think about adding a few of these cards to the deck, but I thought to myself that these cards, they create quite a few power gems, because it creates 27 power gems. Crushing all of those gems, you can create more powerful gems on the board. So I thought about adding Untamable Twosome to the deck, and I thought about just running deck as is. Now tomorrow I'll try out the deck and see how the deck performs, see how it performs with other cards added to it, and see the most powerful combination that you can find. But my recommendation for the deck is, if you've got the gems, you can get it. If you haven't got the killer skill, it's quite important to get the killer seal. I don't endorse people spending a lot of money on the game, but I mean, if you want to spend money, it's up to you. It's your choice. I would say, if you can, do get the deck. It's a nice deck. It's quite a good deck, and I think it's gonna be relatively powerful, relatively a good deck for the event. So that's my take on it, and that's my take on Gem Crush, using it in the last event. So until tomorrow, when the event starts and we do possible deck combination, this is Octane saying, like, subscribe, and as always, peace, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great day. Bye for now.